everybody. Welcome
Hi,
to Staying Sane with Jay and Hussein. I'm Jay, and my partner in crime is Hussein.
Hussein. Yes.
Welcome back after being out sick last week, so it's good to have
Yep.
you back.
A bad
Yay.
cough.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Just a heads up to our viewers. Both Arif and I are in the middle of a thunderstorm on both cities, so we could have some signal interruption if the storm gets bad enough where we lose power or signal. So, just a heads up that that could happen. So,
Yeah, we
thanks
have Dingan
everybody.
with me. And what's your spoof god to save you from all this?
What is my what?
Spoof god.
My spoof god. I don't have a
Yep.
spoof god.
Oh, okay. You must have one at least to be get some use of out of that. We have Dingan here, like the that monster. You might be knowing that.
No.
No. Okay. So let's speak about that in our next session then.
Okay. All right, so let's dive into this week's news. So I'll pick up. So one of the stories I reported on last week was how Israeli far-right protesters, including an MP, broke into an army base in a show of support for soldiers accused of severely mistreating Palestinian prisoners. So over this past week, Israel's leading human rights organization says the conditions inside Israel's prisons holding Palestinian detainees amounts to torture. The group's report, entitled Welcome to Hell, contains testimony from 55 recently released Palestinian detainees, filled with graphic testimony. One series of reports contains shocking allegations of abuse, and the testimony that the researchers have gathered has been remarkably consistent. The executive director of the organization, Ms. Novak, states, all of them, again and again, told us the same thing: ongoing abuse, daily violence, physical violence, and mental violence, humiliation, sleep deprivation. People are starved. The Israeli prison system as a whole, in regard to Palestinians, turned into a network of torture camps. This from Israel's leading human rights organization. Eventually, one of the prisoners was released. He says, we were severely beaten by 20 officers, dogs, and firearms. We were tied from behind, our eyes blindfolded, beaten severely. Blood was gushing from my face. They beat us for 50 minutes. I saw them from under my blindfold. They were filming us while beating us. So that's not very good. Okay, and it's not just the Palestinians from Gaza and the West Bank who talk about the abuse. Israeli citizens like, forgive me if I pronounce the name wrong, sorry, Kuria, an Israeli Arab lawyer, says it has also happened to them. Mr. Kuria was held for 10 days. Police said two of his Facebook posts had glorified the actions of Hamas, a charge quickly dismissed. And Mr. Kuria says they just lost their mind. There was no law, there was no order inside. Israel has refused to grant the International Committee of the Red Cross access to Palestinian detainees as international law requires. The Association for Civil Rights in Israel has accused the government of consciously defying international law. End quote. Ben-Gvir, the man in charge of the overall prison service, has frequently boasted that under his watch, conditions for Palestinian detainees have deteriorated sharply. For human rights watchers, Ben-Gvir bears a heavy responsibility for the abuses now being reported. Ms. Novak states, these systems were put in the hands of the most right-wing, most racist minister that Israel has ever had. Continuing on, fears of an Iranian-Israeli escalation have led Joe Biden to increase American forces in the region. I saw today that the USS Abraham Lincoln, an aircraft carrier, and submarines are being sent to the area. Biden called a meeting of his national security team. Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, said officials were, quote, working around the clock to prevent an escalation, and airlines are canceling or rerouting their flights. Further to the Israeli-Gaza situation, 9 staff members of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees may have been involved in the 7th October attacks by Hamas, the United Nations says. It did not specify what the men's precise involvement may have been. And the last story from Israel. Last Monday, the extremist finance minister, Smotrich, stated openly that Israel allowing Gazans to starve to death would be, quote, right and moral, but the world won't let us. Yes, humility and biblical values are on full display for everybody to see. And Hussein, over to you.
Yeah, we have a very important news that is coming from Bangladesh. That's recently we were seeing an ongoing protest in that country with regards to the reservation, and the protests were carried out by the college students there because that was affecting them. And what happened afterwards is that that turned out to be a mass protest against the ruling party, and the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, she was there, and the protest went against her, and all the people who were on the opposition, they joined with this protest and they took it over. And finally, what happened was Hasina had to flee the country. She first came to our country, and she's in the process of leaving to UK. So that's how it went. And what happened afterwards is that, though in the beginning, this protest that was carried out by the students, irrespective of their religions, finally or later on, that turned out to be an agitation where Hindus were targeted, especially Hindus and all the minorities especially. So finally, what we see today is that Hindus, especially them, they are being targeted, and they are now chased outside the country, and now they are waiting at the India-Bangladesh border to get a citizenship or to seek an asylum in India. So that's the horrible situation what's going on there, and it's a kind of a repetition of the genocide that happened in 1971. That's how it is being explained now, because the incidents or the reports that is coming from Bangladesh is horrific, and it's a genocide too that is happening in Bangladesh, and more than 200 people have been already killed. And apart from that, all other minorities are targeted now. Their shops, their livelihood, their homes, their worshipping places, everything is burned down. And the culprits behind them, all these protests and this violence against them, against these minorities, is as usual the Jamaat Islami, which is an Islamic outfit, which is also a part of their political outfits over there. And as a good news from Bangladesh, amidst all this violence, is that Bangladesh is also banning, or they banned literally this Jamaat Islami once again, because this is not happening for the first time. So banning Jamaat Islami, that's one step that is being taken now. And now the country is heading towards a normalization where a lot of things has to be done, especially the confidence among the minority regarding or towards a new country, where Bangladesh was always seen as a beacon of a re-emergence from religious extremism and all other things, because once it was like that, and they were coming out of that extremism and all such violence, and they were slowly becoming one of the greatest economic powers in this region in Asia, with the most fastest growing GDP, close to 7.9 or 7.8, something around that. And that's how the economy was functioning over there. And what we are seeing right now is a complete reversal of all these things, and the people are losing their confidence in a country, in their governance, and in all the systems in their country. Especially when we see the images of their father of the country, that is Mujibur Rahman, Bangla Bandhu. That's how they are called, Banga Bandhu, Mujibur Rahman. He's considered as the father of Bangladesh, and he's now his statues are being taken over, that is pulled down, completely destroyed, and even we could see people urinating over them. So that's how these people are behaving in such a situation where a complete chaos, that's what we are seeing over there. And now, along with all this, another aspect what we are seeing here is that no one is speaking of all this violence. They are just keeping silence, a complete silence on all these things, especially in India, where the problem is that when they speak about all these things, there's a usual narrative that is, whenever you hear about some persecutions or a religious minority getting attacked, there's a presumption that it's always that minority status that is only for Muslims. That's how it is termed. So when it comes to India, and when there is a right-wing narrative or kind of a body which is identified as a right-wing, and they are the reason for all the atrocities in India, and how when we see all these things, we are seeing a silence even in India. we are not addressing all these things and how the Hindus, being a minority in Bangladesh, is chased down. And it's not something new, because we had a report almost a few months ago where we saw a report in which a census was brought out, where it was saying about the decrease in the minority population in all these countries. And India is the only country where there is an increase in the minority population, where the population of the Muslim community here, that was increasing by around 43%, while it was decreasing in all other countries, especially in Bangladesh and in Pakistan, where it was around 30% when it was gaining the independence, that is in 1947, and it is now close to 8% now, or below 8%. That's what we are seeing there. And when it comes to Pakistan, it's almost 20-25% while it was gaining the independence, and now it is below 5%. That's the rate of decrease in the minority population. So if we are speaking on religious persecutions and religion motivated genocide and mass exodus of people just because of this religion, we are seeing that right now in our in front of our eyes, close to our country, that is in Bangladesh. So the world need to rise up and speak up against these kind of religious atrocities, especially when it is carried out by Islam. Because whenever we try to criticize Islam, there's a usual narrative that is being brought up, that is Islamophobia, and that's being used as a defense to stop criticizing Islam and all other arguments or the allegations against them. So this is not any false allegation. It's a true. It's a happening right now in front of our eyes. So that's one big news from Bangladesh. So over to you.
Just a quick question. So, does India have procedures in place to expedite the Hindus who live in Pakistan and or Bangladesh who want to relocate to India? I mean, do they have procedures in place to make that easy for them?
Yes, that's a very important question, because we were speaking of citizenship amendment acts. So this was something that was pertaining to the citizenship of the minorities up to 2014 December. That's the time frame, because this rule was there in place to help the people who were displaced during the partition of India. So some people moved out from India to Pakistan, and among them there were some minorities who were stranded there. And at the same time, we also have such people in Bangladesh, and some were even displaced to even Afghanistan. So this rule was there, and there was an understanding as per this treaty between Pakistan and India, Nehru Liaquat Pact. That's how it is called. And as per that treaty, the understanding was to maintain the population of the minority, and no persecution should be carried out over them, and they should be protected in wherever in whichever country they are living in, wherever they are. So that was the understanding. But what happened was India kept the promise. India protected its minority. Muslims were the minority as per the rule, as per that treaty, because it was a partition that was held on the basis of Hindu-Muslim religion. So that's how it was done. So India protected its minority. It went up. It kept growing. But at the same time, what we were seeing was that it kept going down, even in Pakistan and both in Bangladesh. So what India did was, India amended this rule to expedite, as you were saying, to complete that process and to give them the provision of taking up the citizenship before going through the usual way, which is by you should prove that you were here for more than 10 years and all other things were there. So that was completely avoided for them, and they were given a chance to normalize their citizenship in India. And that was one big issue where that was being used against the Muslims by the opposition party here, by saying that it is going to affect the Muslims who are already living here. Like when I was first hearing of all these things, I was a Muslim. That's the most funniest part. And I was told from my masjid that if this rule is being implemented, if it gets implemented here in India, you will be asked to go out of this country. You will have to leave to Pakistan. So that's how it was narrated. And finally, it was proved wrong. because very recently the central government here, they completed that process and they started giving the citizenship for all such affected minorities from these countries, and they have done it. But when we speak about this new issue which is coming up from Bangladesh, I don't think this rule will be applicable for them, because as per this rule, this amendment, this is for the minorities who were already affected by this partition and all such things, and the time frame was by 2014. But now when we speak of this, I think the government can extend these provisions to help these people as well, because that's not a big deal for India as per the conditions are seen as right now. So I think they can do it. So I think they should be given the opportunity, because we cannot let them die in those countries, especially because we have a track record of this organized genocidal activities going on in both these countries. So we should protect them. So I think the governments will act. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, our president of AAI, Tanoy, is
Yeah.
Bangladeshi, as some people, our viewers may know. So Tanoy
Mm.
wrote, and we published on the AAI page a few days ago, a
Yeah.
call to protect everyone in Bangladesh, that the government and the police forces, emergency services should be doing what they can to protect everybody and not allow these kind of atrocities to occur.
Mm.
So yeah, so let's hope things in Bangladesh will calm down and theoretically it's a secular country like India, so hopefully we can get things back on track. So
Yeah. Hope so.
okay, so my last two news bits. So Taylor Swift's concerts in Austria have been canceled due to credible threats of attack by Muslim extremists. And my final story, an anti-trans pastor, Terrence Dames, was arrested and charged with felony sexual solicitation connected to a human sex trafficking investigation. So why am I not surprised that some outspoken, you know, you know, anti-gay, all these preachers, like they're always the ones who get caught, with prostitutes or with male prostitutes or female. In this case, it was a female, but it's always seems to be the people of religion who condemn things the most, who are always the ones who get caught with their pants around their ankles.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it for my news this week. Anything else
Okay.
on your side?
Yeah, I have one more thing, one more news from here. That is from Iraq. That's Iraq proposes law to lower the marriage age for girls to 9 from 15. That's the news
What?
from Iraq. Yep.
That's crazy.
Not
Oh,
just
that's
crazy,
insane.
but
To
I
nine.
think that I think they deserve an applause because they didn't lower it to 6 years old, because that's as per the Islamic rule. It's the age should be 6. At least
Nine. From
they are
15 to
strictly,
9.
yeah, 15 to 9. So it's a proposal, and back in July they were having this proposal, and it was withdrawn. The bill was withdrawn in late July, and now they reintroduced this. Okay, so that's how it goes, and uh, and in this MENA region, this is nothing new. So the underage marriages and how it is going to affect the children over there, and how their lives will be made into a hell, a literal hell. That's nothing new. We had a few reports from other countries like Yemen and other places like that, where almost 20 to 30% of their women population, they were married at this age, and you can just imagine how downtrodden their lives would be by denying them a proper education, proper a chance for gaining a job and finding their own lives and enjoying their personal liberties. So this is being violated there. So when we speak about this, we are also seeing a kind of a support from this Muslim community for even this barbaric move, and they are finding it as something as a noble law or a bill that is being introduced here. So that's how they find this. So I think this is getting more and more harder to make understand our Muslim brothers how their rules are ruining the lives of the people, especially the girls. So Iraq is becoming a lesson for them or a chapter for them to identify their own problems. Maybe in the future they will come to realize this. So this is in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty sad. Well, hopefully the law will get shut down and
Yeah.
they won't get enacted. So,
Yeah. All
well,
the people are reacting to that. Even the human rights activists and all such people are fighting against this, raising the voice. And I don't know how they will survive because it's in a this personal law is totally based on Islam and Islamic Sharia, so it's very difficult to defend that. So let's see how it goes.
yeah. Okay.
Mm. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see everybody next week. And here we go.
Yep. Bye bye.
Out we go. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.